Welcome to the ultimate Tolkien tournament. This is Middle-earth Madness. Welcome back to the third night of the second round of the Rome tournament. Middle-earth Madness's summer tournament. Rome stands for Races of Middle-earth. What does that mean, you might ask? And I'm glad you did. Behold! Our bracket. So, how we're scoring this is just like a standard bracket. You get points for every correct pick that you make. You know, you pick a character to win, for example, Thrain versus the Barrow Wight. If I pick the Barrow Wight to win, and he wins, you get a point. You get 2 points for the second round. You get 4 points for a correct pick in the fourth round, and then 8, and then 16. So it's an exponential sort of progression for correct picks. But we also have a layer on top of that, where you play as a race, right? You pick elves, dwarves, men, or evil creatures. And then whichever race you are playing as, if a character of that race wins and you pick him to win, you get bonus points. And so our little inside group here are having a little side action based on that layout. Right, so at the orange at the top is your bonus points for what races you pick correctly, and the blue at the bottom is just your standard correct bracket predictions. And so it looks like Engine Chief has taken the lead, and we're joined here by Engine Chief tonight. Care to brag on your recent success, Engine Chief? It can be fleeting.
It's based on the evil guy who won last night, which was the Barrow Wight, right?
Yes.
In a tremendous battle.
Yeah. So Engine Chief is playing as bad guys, and Patty Man is playing as humans. He's bringing up the rear. Actually, he's tied with Hanti now, who is playing as elves, despite having a good bracket, 10 correct predictions. He's only getting 5 points for the correct picks for the elves there, and then Chucky's actually in second, having the best race so far, which sort of surprisingly, not too surprisingly, are the dwarves. So the Nalgrim, so far having a very strong tournament. And 2 more of them fight tonight. So as we take another look at our bracket here, let's see where we're at. So on the right-hand side, last night we saw the Barrow Wight slay Thrain in a pretty epic fight. So, sorry?
You think?
Yeah, maybe a record setter. I think it was a record setter. I didn't go too far in the past to officially check, but 130 some rounds, I want to say. They were just duking it out, and in the end, the Barrow Wight gets a narrow victory over Thrain. The night before, we had Thranduil over Ugluk, but tonight we will see who takes on the Barrow Wight in the next round. That's either going to be Dane Ironfoot or the Olog High. And on the other side of the brackets, yesterday we had Faramir upset Galadriel in a little bit of a surprise. Obviously an upset. That's what an upset is. A surprise victory for Faramir there. And tonight, we will see if it's going to be Gimli or Boromir. Fellowship on fellowship violence for a right to take on Faramir in the next round. So, we'll switch back to the other side and we'll kick off our first fight. That is going to be Dane Ironfoot against the Olog High. Let's see their character cards here. You can check these out if you're following along at home. Just go to middleearthmadness.com, the bracket tracker page, and then click on any character in your bracket. It brings up a little baseball card here. It shows their record, which is how they performed in our round robin tournament that we call the regular season. So if you hear us say regular season, that's what we're talking about. Everyone fights everyone, and that gives us a data set by which we can see these characters and slot them in appropriately within the bracket. Dane here, Dwarf Lord of the Iron Hills in the Third Age, had some great. I mean, he was 20-11. Obviously, we're talking about a 3 seed here, so we're getting to these fights where they're heavy hitters, good characters. And in Dane's case, he slew Glorfindel, a 1 seed, Shelob, a 2 seed, Elrond, a 2 seed, and the Watcher in the Water, who I believe is a 4. So 4 good victories out of 20 there. And then also, so he had some, I don't know how many truly bad losses he had. He lost to Gimli and Legolas. No shame in that. Eomed, you should win that one because, Eomer's not on his horse in this field, right? And then Imrahil, you should have won that one. So only a few bad losses there. His stats, like most dwarves, he's a tank on defense. On the right-hand side, you're looking at 82 Valor, 84 Toughness, 88 Armor. Elusiveness isn't their thing. They're not going to dodge many attacks. And unlike Thrain, he doesn't have the spirit or the magic, right? Because he does not have a Dwarven ring. Ferocity, 83 on the offensive side. Stamina is decent at 75. Striking, decent at 82. Agility, only average. And then his ranged attack is not what he's going to depend on here. And who's he going up against? He's going up against an armored troll of Sauron. No big deal. No pressure. The Olog High, not so good. Not as good, I should say, in the regular season. He went 18-13. Still makes him a 3 seed. He slew Aragorn, Glorfindel, so both of these characters topped Glorfindel, and Shelob, and the Watcher. So interestingly, 3 common victories for both these characters. Both of them slew Glorfindel, Shelob, and the Watcher. But arguably some worse losses for the Olog High here. He lost to Bard, lost to Imrahil, that's a common bad loss. And then, Faramir and the Barrow White, really no shame in those. So, what are the Olog High strengths in battle? Well, ferocity. Leading at the top there, 97 ferocity. It's about as good as it gets. And 90 striking. The guy's, just brute strength personified. That's what an Olog High is. So, high striking, high ferocity, decent stamina, decent agility, bad magic, no real ranged attack. Very similar to a dwarf, actually just more ferocious and more, striking on offense, less armor and less overall defense as we see on the other side. So slightly less valor. And actually, we should compare the rest of these on the battle engine chart, but I'm just showing you the character cards to start with here. But yeah, you'll be able to compare the stats even better if we switch screens here. So let's see how they stack up in the old graph. All right, blue line, Olog High. Green line, Dane, Ironfoot. So very similar. I mean, at a glance, you can tell very, very similar here. The main... Well, what stands out here? Not a ton. Their armor difference isn't as severe as I would have thought, just by the nature of the races, right? But a little bit of an armor advantage for Dane, a little bit of a deflection damage is the ranged armor, right? So I haven't done quite a good enough job of distinguishing armor, which is defense against melee attacks, and then deflection is the stat that defends you against ranged attacks. Both are good for dwarves because their armor is good against both types of attacks. So
what spirit does?
Yeah, so spirit is the defense, the defensive equivalent of magic. So it's your magical defense. Both of these characters not so hot at that.
Yeah, but look, it's the biggest difference there is.
It's true. So finding it over here.
Last one.
Thank
Last
you.
one.
Yeah.
Olog High has a huge uh, difference, and what that will do for him is
So it just makes him bad on defense, right? And defense is a quotient of, I think that's the right math word. Three categories go into your overall defense. It's valor, 1/3 of your likelihood of withstanding damage. Toughness, 1/3, and spirit is the last third. Armor just protects you against a successful blow wounding you, right? So as we go through our battle flow here, each stage, different stats are involved, except 3 different stats are involved at the very end at the far right of your screen here to determine if a successful strike, if you get through this whole flow to the very end, you got to determine how much damage it does, right? And that's why we put 3 stats at play there. But armor, pure armor, is only the defensive protection against a successful strike here in the middle of your screen, ending up wounding the character. So your armor comes into play in the middle phases of the battle flow, not the end.
But the point is, spirit, once I'm hit, how much damage does it do me? Spirit is part of the ability to shrug that off.
That's right.
So so that's the biggest difference between these two things is you'll see occasionally a hit on the Olag High that he's able to just absorb.
Yeah, now neither one has very good spirit here, but
yes, right.
Yes, more so, exactly what you said. I mean, it's more so than Dane for sure. He'll be able to shrug that off, whereas Dane's going to rely more on his armor, right? His deflection and his armor, because if you don't get to that last stage of the flow,
yeah,
it doesn't matter how much good your attack does, right? If you are stopped by good armor in the middle of the flow here, you're protected.
Right. So it never gets to a wound.
That's right. You can't wound, you can't roll for damage.
So maybe you'd say Olag High has a little bit of built-in first aid.
That's right. And with that, I think we are ready to fight. Therefore, let us fight. In our first fight of the 3rd night of the 2nd round of the Rome Races of Middle-earth Summer Tournament, we have Dane Ironfoot against the Olag High of Mordor. Let us fight. First attack goes to Dane Ironfoot. He attacks with the Red Axe of Erebor, but fails to hit. Back comes the Troll. Cannot engage. And Dane hits and wounds, drawing first blood with a hatchet toss, but barely does any damage. He was forced into a predicament, used his ranged attack, and didn't do a whole lot of good there. The Olag High comes back. He engages, cannot hit. Dane counters. A hit and a wound! Slight smite! Drawing first blood. And the ground is blackened with troll blood. I think it's black. Outside chance it could be red, but orcs got black blood, why wouldn't trolls? Back comes the Olag High. Can he get revenge? He swings his heavy blade. Can't engage. Back comes Dane. A hit and another wound, only slight, and back comes the Olag. Hit and a wound! It's a big one! Instantly slain! A death stroke by the troll, and the dwarf is hewn down! Olag High wins. Wow, those two are not messing around. It seems in retrospect like that was going to be a short fight regardless.
If they fought a bunch of times, you'd have an occasional one like that where Dane got more hits on, more wounds, but the wounds were slight. And the Oleg High got a hit, and the wound was catastrophic.
Yes, and
Now
so on.
those odds are actually quite low, but still, it's in line with the Oleg High skill there.
Exactly right, and that's what I was about to say. Is it's actually worth to that point pulling the stat cards back up. If you'll bear with me here, because we were saying, wait for it. Yeah, that ferocity striking combo. If he can engage right and get those first couple dice rolls in his favor, and actually land a stroke on the opponent, man, it makes for short fights. So against a character with low elusiveness, like a dwarf, that's something that I didn't really touch on, but in retrospect, maybe a little bit more of a bad matchup for Dane than we thought, because low elusiveness against a one-hit wonder, home run hitter like the Oleg High, right? He's either going to strike out or he's going to hit a dinger on you. We've seen that in a couple tournaments now with that guy. Whew. Excuse me. Okay. So what is our next fight of the night? We have, yes, Fellowship on Fellowship Violence with Gimli the Dwarf against Boromir of the Fellowship. Initial thoughts on this one from the lore engine chief while I pull it up in the old battle engine.
Okay, I can't see it on my end. Who is it?
Oh, sorry. It is Boromir against Gimli.
Wow. Oh. Well, like the last fight, they should both melee, I would think.
Yeah. Safe bet. Neither of them wants to hunk stuff.
Boromir has slightly better offense, but Gimli has better defense.
Yep.
And in the you're saying from the lore, Boromir got killed and Gimli didn't. So therefore,
I mean, there is that. Yeah, I think, especially if you play any of the Lord of the Rings video games over the years, you kind of tend to wonder, or maybe you've seen it play out in these games, which of the characters is better, right? But all video game makers, game designers, whether it's us amateurs or the pros somewhere, I think we're doing the same kind of calculus, right? Like, okay, so you have a dwarf, you have a man. As we switch sides to the bracket here and pull up the character cards, what are their relative strengths and weaknesses? As Engine Chief said, Boromir did not make it out of the story. Now, before he went down, I mean, he wrecked some Uruks. He piled up a nice little mountain of corpses, went down swinging, and it does say several times that he was physically the strongest of the Fellowship. Now, I'm talking about Boromir, but I'm showing Gimli, so we shouldn't do that. That's confusing. Boromir, physically strongest, right? And that's borne out in his stats. 91 ferocity. 82 striking. Striking, of course, factors in what weapon they're wielding. And, Boromir, all the strength in the world as far as men go, but he doesn't have an enchanted blade like some of these characters. So you can't expect him to be in the 90s like some of the elite striking characters that we have. Striking is kind of a mix of your physical strength plus the quality of your weapon that you're wielding. But still, on offense, we've got 91 with 82 striking, 78 stamina, 79 agility. Not bad. He is bad at magic, though, right? Because he's a man of Gondor. You got to go back a real long time before you get any Númenórean blood in his family tree, unlike the Aragorns of the world. Now, don't be misled by 95 accuracy. You think, well, what is that? That, of course, is the Horn of Gondor. If he blows it, seeking desperately for help, That's kind of Boromir's ranged attack. So that's kind of a long way of saying he doesn't really have a ranged attack. He does, though, because what it does is you're never missing with the Horn of Gondor. It's 95% accurate. But look at the piercing value. It's only 40 piercing. So it's not going to do a lot of damage. However, it does have a sort of, you might call it a magical or fateful quality to it. He blows it, and Faramir actually hears it in a dream from Ithilien, right? And so the way we reflect that in the battle engine is high accuracy, low piercing. If he's forced to blow it in battle, you'll see that it can do some damage. Maybe it stuns the enemy, he trips and he falls down and, scrapes his face. Strange things happen in combat, right? So that Horn of Gondor is a little bit of a wild card. But, Boromir's not going to try to rely on his ranged weapon, okay? On defense, he's got Extreme Valor, 94. He does have a shield, so his armor is 70. That's actually a little higher than most men in the game. 73 toughness, 69 elusiveness, both sort of average, okay? And switching to Gimli real fast, like most of the dwarves. I'll do defense first here, so right side of your page. 90 Valor, 86 armor, 85 toughness. Very good on defense. 55 elusiveness, that's, again, dwarves don't rely on being dodgy. They want to take heat with their armor. And, 81 deflection against ranged attacks. So if Boromir blows his Horn of Gondor, it reverberates off the armor of Gimli most of the time, right? So 81 deflection. On defense, he's not quite as... on offense, Gimli's not quite as strong as Boromir, though. You're looking at 84 ferocity, 80 stamina, 80 striking. In terms of their key victories and stuff, Elendil, Dane, Elrond, and he did actually beat Boromir in the regular season. So they fought once before. Victory went to Gimli in that one. So can Boromir exact his revenge? Same record here. Pretty equal looking key victories for Boromir. Dane, Shelob, Círdan, Oleg High. The loss to Gimli doesn't make his, short list of key losses. Because no shame in losing to Gimli, really. But there you have it, ladies and gents. Let's pull up the battle engine and see what it says here. So straight away, we didn't mention this in the last fight, so worth mentioning. Boromir prefers melee combat, no surprise there, to the earlier point about the Horn of Gondor not really being a ranged weapon. It's more of a wild card, right? So Gimli also prefers melee combat. He's going to wield his dwarven battle axe against the sword of Minas Tirith. So a nice close range battle here. Battlefield conditions slightly favor Boromir. Both will use their preferred weapon about 86% of the time. Accuracy advantage to Boromir here as we look at the graph. But again, a little bit misleading. That's just a Horn of Gondor doesn't miss. Couple piercing and armor victory to Gimli, as you'd expect. But overall, very even here. How do you see this one, Engine Chief?
Well, there's a key sentence there that says Boromir should be able to engage. So, Boromir being more deft, or whatever you call it, than Gimli, that's one advantage. Sometimes Gimli will come at him and he'll just dance away. So
yes.
That's one factor, right?
Yeah, that's pairing Boromir's agility against Gimli's elusiveness, which you can see is a big advantage there. So Boromir's going to be able to engage Gimli quite often. Look for the yellow bar. When the bar turns yellow at the top of the combat screen, that's a successful engagement. That represents that middle dice roll that then takes them on to.
I think it's gray, isn't it?
Is the first one gray? Yeah. So I'm sorry, you roll to engage and then you roll to strike if that one's yellow. Okay, so you're right.
So
Yeah,
the gray one, the gray one. So sometimes Boromir will dance away and Gimli doesn't even get to take a swing. But as you saw, Gimli's heavily armored, so when you do swing, you might not hurt him that much.
Yep, exactly. It is nearing that time, ladies and gentlemen. Drop in the comments who you like in this battle, and we're going to kick it off. So with that, let us fight.
Slight edge to Boromir.
Oh, we're going to try this again because my mouse is dead. Don't use wireless mouses, ladies and gentlemen. Mouses. One sec. Oh man, that's annoying. Always something up here in the Chamber of Death, right? Mouse, plug in. USB. Into computer. We're going to try this again. All right. Take 2. Let us fight! In our second fight of the third night of the second round of the Rome Summer Tournament, that is Races of Middle-earth, if you didn't understand the acronym, we have Boromir taking on Gimli in a real session of fellowship on fellowship violence. Yes, let us fight. First attack goes to Boromir with the sword of Minas Tirith. He engages, but cannot hit. Back comes Gimli, same thing. Boromir swings, can't. He engages, can't hit. Gimli can't even engage, and they're dancing a little bit to start the battle. A tink there off Gimli's armor. Boromir hits with his sword, but does no damage. Gimli comes back. He engages, can't hit. Boromir hits again. He blows the horn of Gondor. It doesn't do anything to the dwarf. Gimli engages, can't hit. Boromir attacks, can't engage. And they're dancing through 10 rounds, even as predicted through 10, Engine Chief.
Yeah.
Boromir's turn. Attacks, can't engage. Gimli attacks, can't engage. Back and forth they go, dancing. Oh, the first wound goes to Boromir with the sword of Minas Tirith, barely penetrating the dwarven armor to the tune of 2.5 damage points. Gimli still in the fight, slightly to Boromir. What can Gimli do? He engages, can't hit. Boromir counters. A hit and a wound! It's a big one! Heavily hewed. Big advantage to Boromir in the 17th round. And Boromir is on his way to exacting revenge for his regular season loss against the dwarf. But you are never out of the fight. Gimli picks himself up, dusts himself off, and attacks. Cannot engage. Boromir counters. A hit and a wound! Slay! Boromir with a flawless victory in the 19th round. Boromir slays Gimli. And there you have it, ladies and gents.
Would not have thought Boromir would do that without getting a drop of blood on himself.
Man.
If he got any blood on him, it was Gimli's.
He didn't like losing in the regular season, man. So when they resurrect themselves or reincarnate for the postseason, he had revenge on the mind, clearly. Wowie. All right, so let's advance these guys in the bracket. Meanwhile, you guys drop a comment. Let us know what you think of these fights tonight. Bracket says that we are going to advance Boromir. So bonus points for Patty Man for the race of men. And look at this.
Yeah, I don't like to see brothers fighting.
Yes, look at this matchup in the Sweet 16. Boromir will fight Faramir. Brother on brother, Gondorian violence. Really cool. So that's a good one. Now, if we switch sides, and again, you guys can all see this at home. Go to MiddleEarthMadness.com, bracket tracker page in the upper right there, and then click on the Rome bracket. Pull this up, and you got full access to the character cards. It doesn't look quite like this because I of course, have the commissioner controls that allows me to advance these characters. But you'll be able to access the bracket too. Now, in our earlier fight tonight, we had the Olog High. Wait, didn't we? Brain fart.
Yeah. Olog High Dane.
Olog High slew Dane Ironfoot. So we're going to advance him. Much to Engine Chief's delight. Bonus points for the Races of Evil. And look at that. You can't lose the next fight. Well, you're guaranteed bonus points, we'll say. Because it's evil on evil violence. The Battle White will take on the Olog High. How many? I feel like that's about the most unlikely Sweet 16 combination that could have come from. Well, it's definitely one of the most unlikely. I don't think anyone had that in their bracket. You guys screenshot it and drop it in the comments if you had that in your bracket, because I want to see proof. That's pretty cool. So there we are. Tomorrow night, guys, we are up to our heaviest hitters in the tournament. We are down to our 2 seeds. Speaking of household violence, that's going to be Elrond against his foster son, Aragorn. Those are our 2 seeds. And that 2 seed... Excuse me. Yeah, that... Wait. I don't know why Thranduil is not populating up here. But yeah, the winner of that will advance to take on Thranduil, who won that fight against Ugluk. Take our word for it, even though you're not seeing him in this box. Graphic glitch. And on the other side, the winner of our 1 seed contest, Durin against Kamul the Nazgul, will advance to take on Balin the dwarf. And with that, tomorrow night, same bat time, same bat channel, we will finish up the 2nd round and set up the Sweet 16. Last thoughts, Engine Chief, before we wrap it up for the evening.
No, gotta be here tomorrow night. Those are the big ones, and especially Kamul against. Oops, you just erased it. Who is it? Kamul against
Dane, or excuse me, Durin.
Durin, yeah. Whoever wins that is favored to win the whole tournament.
Yes.
Doesn't mean they will. Doesn't mean they will, but they have the inside track.
Yep. So that's definitely the one you want to watch, and we will have the scoreboard updated for you tomorrow. We'll have the brackets updated, and we will have 2 fresh fights. So on behalf of Engine Chief tonight and our other founders who couldn't make it, we're going to wish you a freaking fantastic Wednesday night. And keep in mind, as Gandalf said, that you can only come to the morning through the shadow. And where there is light, there is always hope. You are never out of the fight. See you guys tomorrow.